Paintings, songs, a woman vomiting colors onto a canvas. What do all of these things have in common? They're all art, apparently, with quite literally 0 bar to entry. Art can be found in anything, and conveniently enough, video games happen to fall under that category. So today, we're talking about art styles in video games. Now, there are many different kinds of art to be found in video games. Storytelling, music, level design, FPS, one-liners.
I ought to break a broom handle off in your ass.
But one of the more interesting categories one could talk about is the aesthetic, the presentation, the art style as people like to call it. And it's more important than you might think. I am of the belief that a lot of games live and die on their art styles before anyone has ever even tried them. I have friends that have refused to play Among Us or laughed at the notion of trying Undertale, some of the most popular and critically acclaimed games of the last decade, because of how they look. That's big. And although I would never go as far as to say that a game's art style would or should have any bearing on how much enjoyment you get out of it, I mean, people enjoyed Pong for a very long time, it does say a lot about the experience that you're likely to have. Take Wind Waker, for instance. I remember when it came out back in the day, and almost everybody you talked to was like, bro, how are you gonna go from dark, moody, realistic graphics of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask into this Fisher-Price Polly Pocket Easy Bake Oven looking shit right here? Are you kidding me? And the game turned out to be amazing. One of the most classic Zelda adventures, in my opinion. But it definitely did have a different vibe to it. A more whimsical, happy-go-lucky, feel-good Disney, but without all the weird sex jokes kind of vibe. It was pleasant, but also delightful. And because of that, it's linked to different memories in my head and elicits different emotional reactions, just as potent as any other Zelda game, but it was its own unique experience. And it expanded the Zelda franchise into an entirely different tonal category. That is the kind of power that art style can have. Taking a critically acclaimed game that everybody loves and reshaping it to fit different locations in our hearts and our minds. This can, however, backfire. It isn't always the easiest choice to change up the art style for a game, and if it isn't handled with tact and care and at least a little bit of lube for your fan base, you can your franchise up big time. For instance, Diablo, perfect example of not enough lube. Diablo was the godfather of the dungeon dive. The first 2 games are revered as some of the greatest games to ever exist inside the genre, with their dark, gruesome, foreboding atmosphere walking through the ancient, long-forgotten halls of dark towers soaked in the blood of devious satanic rituals. And then the 3rd game came out, and oh boy, the art style went from this to this. It irrevocably changed almost everything that people enjoyed about the first 2. It took the immersive, dark atmosphere of a truly gritty dungeon dive and turned it into a colorful, cartoonish spectacle of a light show. A mobile game brought to the PC. Exactly the kind of shit that PC gamers love.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Needless to say, they altered the art style too much and ruined the experience that many people were hoping for. They tarnished the memory and legacy of a game that held such a high position in people's hearts. Blizzard seems to be really good at doing this for some reason. And don't get me wrong, I actually don't mind Diablo 3 or Retail WoW. They're pretty fun games, but they just don't have that special essence anymore. You know, the magic, the flavor, it's gone. And that is the flip side of the power of art style. Whether for good or for bad, it can change the essence of a game. It can massively alter people's perception and experience. It can enhance or ruin entire franchises. It's an immense thing to wield. That's what she said. But aside from that, I think that one of the coolest parts of a video game's art style is that it's an interesting window into a creator's mind and a true artistic expression of oneself. It's like music, you know, there are so many good artists out there, but the thing that really makes them great is that they're all different. That with each new song from each new person or band, you get to see an entirely different side to reality. You get to live in someone else's shoes for a moment and experience their life and vision in the very unique way that they want you to see it in. And it's the same for video games. Take Cuphead, for example, a game with one of my favorite art styles ever. So much care and attention to detail went into this game. They drew every frame by hand, dude. Like, look at this. I can barely work up the energy to sit down and write a 2-page script, okay? This shit blows my mind with the old 1930s aesthetic complete with the watercolor background and the old-timey big band music to boot. It's just beautiful. And underneath it, all the mechanics could be of a simple Contra-style platformer, but the care and love that went into it, the uncompromising vision, it just seeps through into your brain like a deadly, invasive virus that just makes you feel things. Ugh. Superhot is another one. I've talked about it before, but you know, the minimalistic magic on display here is astounding, and it just makes for probably one of the most addictive game experiences I've ever had. Murder House, a game that I'm probably gonna be doing a video on soon. Old PS1 era graphics fed through the lost VHS footage style of old exploitation horror films, and everything combined, it gives the horror aspect of the game so much more effect. I have never come closer to shitting my pants than when playing this game. Art styles in video games are like a window into another person's mind, especially given the huge rise in indie gaming as of late. I mean, we're seeing some of the most exciting, interesting, idiosyncratic titles in a long time. I mean, imagine that the only kind of games that you could ever play for the rest of your lives were just better and better iterations of Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, just continuing on the hyper-realism train until games were just indistinguishable from reality. I don't want that. I want to escape reality. Reality sucks, and unique, interesting art styles are a doorway into fantastical new worlds. There's a lot of them too. Video games have been a thing for decades at this point, so there's tons of inspirational artistic material to look at. Parappa the Rapper, Katamari Damacy, Jet Set Radio, Okami, Journey, Wind Waker, Minecraft 13, Killer 7, Cuphead, Ape-Out, Oberdin, and so many more games that I don't really rightly have the time to mention, to be completely honest, or this video is gonna be super fucking long. But I urge you to try out just a few of the games that I've listed here. They are pretty good. All in all, a video game's art style is a powerful tool. It can make shit, it can break shit, and it can open your mind to new and interesting experiences. It's definitely one of the most fascinating aspects of video games for me, and I think that it's something that you should open up to a little more as well, assuming that you haven't. It's definitely worth the effort. But that about wraps up the video, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Love ya. Bye-bye.